assessing or examining the impact, the benefits, the implications of the visit of the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Ms. Christine Lagarde. She was here a couple of weeks ago, and just as we rightly said earlier, that she said Nigeria is a country with vast resources, that all we need to do is just to look inwards and we're good to go. Nigeria doesn't need to borrow. We don't need any loan. We need to just diversify. Amazing. From somebody like that, it calls for a whole lot of proper check. Okwemi Ojabanjo is here, and she's going to be, giving us a lowdown of what we need to know.
Okay, just like Olatunde has said, she visited Nigeria, that's Christine Lagarde, talking about how we can get out of this economic crisis. We know it's biting so hard. Nigerians are complaining, and we all want a better Nigeria. And in the studio with us, before we went on that short break, we said we have Dr. Showale Ideji. He's a senior lecturer at the Department of Statistics, Faculty of Sciences, University of Ibadan. Once again, Doctor, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the IMF managing director came to Nigeria last week. What do you think about our visit?
Well, let me begin by saying good morning, Oyo State. I wish Oyo State the very best. Good morning, Nigeria, and good morning, Impact Business FM 92.5.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I want to start by saying that the world is a global village, and we cannot pretend, that Nigeria is not a major player in the world affairs. We all know what happened during the elections. The international community wanted the elections to hold, wanted a smooth transition. Why? Because they were afraid if there was war in Nigeria, where do we go? Who will be able to absorb more than 180 million people? They were afraid. So meaning that Nigeria is a major player in world affairs, regardless of whatever the economy is saying now. And that must have informed the visit of the IMF managing director. So as far as I'm concerned, I see nothing wrong in the visit, and our visit confirms again that Nigeria is indeed a major player in world affairs.
Okay, part of our recommendation, she said we should increase the value-added tax. We should increase the value-added tax and stressed it that Nigeria, is important for us to just increase our tax base, considering the fact that Nigeria has the lowest VAT rate in the African continent. Do you think we really need to increase our VAT value-added tax?
Well, I want to react to that question by noting what Christian said herself.
Okay.
She said, if you don't like my story, you can write your own story. Now, what does that suggest? What she's trying to tell us is we don't have to follow hook, line, and sinker whatever she says.
Okay.
Whatever she says is not binding on us. No, whatever she must have said is a suggestion on possible way forward. You see, it is high time we begin to understand that we can solve our problems in our own ways. I've said this several times, that a European cannot solve an African problem 100%. Why? Because we know ourselves. If we are sincere with ourselves, we are the ones that can truly, solve our problems. And that was why the Haitians are doing fine now, because at a point in their history, when they were going through economic turmoil, they felt it was needful for them to go back to the drawing board. And that was how the idea of homegrown technology came to be, especially in Japan. All of us are witnesses to the outcome of that homegrown technology today. So I want to believe that whatever she said or she didn't say was a suggestion, not binding on us. So it is left for the government to appraise whatever she has said and see whether that is viable. Well, I want to say that taxes are a good base for revenue generation. I would just want to say that Government should not belabor those who have been paying taxes. For instance, we know that federal civil servants or civil servants generally, they have been faithful in payment of their taxes through the pay system. So if, this option will be deployed, I want the government to do it in such a way that the rich will now pay more. Because the rich, yes, because the rich have the financial wherewithal. So especially those who are highly placed, I mean our senators, our honorables, they are the ones that should pay more, than the people in the lower rungs of the ladder.
Okay, concerning the poor, you said something about the poor, that the poor should pay lesser than the rich people. Okay, and as part of our recommendation, she also recommended that we should remove the fuel subsidy so that government can spend on infrastructure, housing, education, health, among other things. And in a word, she said the poor will be out. Do you think that is viable for us at this moment?
Well, I want to start by saying that, we have a practice in this part of the world. We all go to crossover services where we expected our men of God to be able to predict, to see into the future, to tell us, what the future holds. And I want to say that one thing I've read, and it's common to virtually what all, the preachers have said, is that Nigerians should brace up, that hard life in quote, is coming. However, I remember one of them said, at the end of the day, we are going to smile. So I want to say that hard times, have been with us all this while, and it's not a new thing. And I want to believe that with God on our side, we are going to leverage very well.
And surely she made mention of the fact that the government should look into this issue of fuel subsidy, in which Nigerians are being clamoring for, to remove this fuel subsidy with the speed at which the oil is dwindling in the international market. How will this pay Nigeria? How will this pay IMF? Because I know IMF real good with what we've always heard about them, borrowing, giving. They tend to clamp down on that opportunity. Is it not an opportunity that they are looking out for, how to get hold of Nigeria and be able to run the economy of Nigeria from their own perspective?
Well, like I said earlier, our visit is not to force whatever, is the interest of IMF on us. I want to believe that we have a president who knows where he is going. And I want to believe again that the president, in the person of President Muhammadu Buhari, is a man I know who knows, what it takes to be able to say yes and to stand by yes. We don't need to, subscribe to whatever, they are dishing out at us. Now, let's go back to the issue of fuel subsidy. Now, the truth of the matter is, I was discussing somewhere, and I asked, where is the subsidy? Let us be sincere with ourselves. Of what benefit has been the subsidy to Nigerians? They promised us so many things that if they increase more roads, where are the roads? They said if they increase, we are going to have more electricity supply. Where is the electricity supply? So you can see that the whole subsidy stuff is falsehood. There is no subsidy anywhere. So it is high time the government decides once and for all to remove it so that we know where we are going. As far as I'm concerned, there is no subsidy. Because there is nobody that can authoritatively tell us that this has been the benefit of subsidy to Nigerians. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to subscribe to that school of thought that subsidy should be done away with once and for all.
Once and for all, and once and for all. If you're just joining us, you're most welcome, and we are discussing in the studios this morning the visit of the IMF Managing Director to Nigeria, Ms. Christine Lagarde, sometime last week. And with us this morning is someone who knows about it so well. And we are looking at this point now that when she called, it's actually, I don't want to use the word a little bit shameful, in the sense that for someone like that to come down here to tell those in government today that they should streamline their expenses, they should cut down cost on governance. spoke to the members of the Houses of Assembly and both the Senate and the House of Rep that the transfer of funds should be in here. I look at it that is it that she knows that people are transferring funds that should be in this country to be used properly in this country over there. And IMF, why have they waited this long to speak out concerning all the looted funds? They knew about it years. Why have they waited this long to now come out, to now start talking about streamline your governance?
Well, I want to say this. At times, if it takes a foreigner to tell us what is right, and for us to begin to turn a new leaf, I think...
Is it possible that we turn a new leaf like that? Africans, you know us.
Well, if it will take IMF Boss to cause our leaders, to turn a new leaf, I think I want to welcome that. Because I want to believe that some of the submissions of Christie, man, we know, even an average Nigerian that understands what is happening in the country knows. Those are the fundamental issues. For instance, she telling us that we should cut down the cost of governance. We all know that the cost of running government in Nigeria is huge. I mean, the money we are paying to senators in Nigeria is the highest. Even the rich countries of the world, they are not paying as much as, what we are paying them. So, if it will take, IMF Boss, to tell us to turn a new leaf, and for them to begin to turn a new leaf, I think I want to subscribe to that, really. And again, that they were not aware, or they knew, definitely they knew, just like I said when I started, the world has become a global village. Definitely they know. But again, let us look at it this way. When funds move from Nigeria to their country, it benefits their countries. So again, we have to understand something, in international relations, diplomacy. There is a lot of diplomacy, that for them now to say, okay, we want to help you, we want to repatriate some of these funds, and it's a welcome development. And again, maybe it has to do, just like we had when this government started, the body language. Maybe it's the body language, the swagger, of the president, that is making IMF now to come out to say, okay, do this, do that. We want to, partner with you to return the funds, and so, So let's just believe the best that, our visit will actually, cause some changes here and there to be seen, practically.
Okay, no problem. This is still Nigeria's first business radio, IBR 92.5 FM. And we've been in the studio talking about the IMF Boss visits to Nigeria as per how can we get out of this economic crisis despite all our recommendations. Dr. Showali said that, she's an outsider coming into Nigeria. She cannot impose. She cannot tell us what to do. And, at some point, she had actually shown our leaders. She had pointed out their faults and where they should adjust.
Assessing or examining the visit of the IMF Managing Director, Ms. Christine Lagarde, the implications, the benefits, those things, she said, we should put in place. How feasible will the government of the day put them in place so that the country can be a better place for us to live? Now, let's quickly look at the issue of Nigeria and West Africa, where Ms. Lagarde said that Nigeria as a country we should come up, build a regional cooperation among West African countries, because whatever affects Nigeria directly or indirectly affects other countries within the sub-region. Now, my own look at that aspect is that if Nigeria succumbs to this, builds a regional cooperation amongst other West African countries of Africa and the sub-Saharan countries as well. These other smaller countries of Africa, IMF borrows them money, good money, for them to make their economy viable. At a point in time, will Nigeria not be relying on these smaller countries? If she had put this across to us and Nigeria buys it, what is the fate of Nigeria in the nearest future?
Well, I want to differ a bit from your school of thought. Really, there has been, a kind of regional integration between us and other partner African
Other West
countries.
African countries.
Now, for instance, we have ECOWAS.
Mm.
So there have always been, a kind of, integration, economic integration between the West African countries. I also want to take you backwards a bit when the president also started, when they wanted to actually tackle head-on, this issue of Boko Haram insurgency. I remember, there was a forum whereby the president, Muhammadu Buhari, held a meeting with other African countries, for them to come up with, a kind of a template on how to check, insurgency. So I want to believe that, partnership, has always been something that is not a new concept here in Africa. I think the onus now is on Nigeria for us to now live up to the expectation, just like rightly said earlier, giant of Africa in quote. Are we truly giants or are we hands of Africa? Rather, I want us to see ourselves as hands so that we can borrow a leaf from what the Bible says about hands. That use lagarde, go and study the hands. See the hands. The hands, they keep their food in the summer, So if by seeing ourselves as hands, maybe that will make us to be giants indeed, I think I want to subscribe to that. So I think the onus now is on Nigeria, to now live up to expectation. Let us now develop. Let us now, expand into all these other forms of revenue that we have. All these natural resources, it is time for us to begin to explore. It is time for us to begin to put square pegs, in square holes, It is time for us now to begin to do the right thing at the right time because indeed God has blessed us with both human and natural resources. So it is high time, we begin to live up to our potentials. And I want to believe that by the time we begin to do this, even if, IMF wants to force something on us, when they see that we ourselves, we have been doing things the way we are expected to do it, we have become, self-sufficient, now there will be little, control, from them. Just like what is happening in China. It is difficult for IMF, for instance, to be controlling China because China has become a world power and they do things their own way. In fact, that is why they say Asian tigers. Malaysia, Singapore, look at these countries, they went for their own model and eventually they have become giants, in their own rights and now the world respects them. So I want to believe that, the focus of Nigeria now is how do we now develop our own asset base? How do we capitalize on our strengths, to minimize our weaknesses so that in the next, few years from now, we can truly stand tall and then all of us can be proud of this entity called Nigeria again.
Okay, before we go ahead, we would like to join the conversation by calling the numbers 08151925925 or 08189925925. That's about December 2011. The IMF managing director was in Nigeria. She came to Nigeria. That was when the past president was the president. The past president was in power. That was President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, and the coordinating minister for the economy and the finance minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She came here for a program discussing Africa's future, responding to today's global economic challenges and all that. Now she's here again. Why do you think there is a reason for the second visit? Why did she come back for this second visit?
Well, I want to believe that, she has to be guided by a schedule of events also. Now, if it is listed in a schedule of events that now you have to go to Nigeria, then she has no choice. She has to answer the call of duty and visit Nigeria. Okay. That is one aspect. Okay. Now, another aspect is now maybe a visit is to tell the president that, look, you are a major player in world affairs. It is high time, just like they said they met,
in closed doors.
In camera. Maybe our second visit was to now tell the president, look, President, I've come the second time. Despite the fact that call of duty did not allow me to come, I've come to announce to you that it is now time for you now to ensure that Nigeria becomes a true giant. So it is a possibility. I want to, stand on that possibility that, okay, maybe a visit was to reiterate to the president again that, look, we count on Nigeria, lifting other African countries up, especially the West African nations. So it's a possibility. So I want us to believe on that possibility.
She made mention of the fact that corruption is touted as it takes about 5% of the GDP all over the world, and about $1 trillion is taken as bribe globally, annually. Mind. Even that amount alone scares me. $1 trillion it goes around. But my point here is this. Before now, all the money stashed away in Switzerland, because I know she had a closed-door meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, which they must have, Oga, this and this and that. But why has IMF taken so long, even before this administration? Or is it just that it's this administration that is just rising to fight corruption? Why is it taking them so long to say, no, you can't stash money that's not, that can't be accounted for? Why is it now that they are now coming in to do search?
Well, like I said earlier, we must understand what is called international diplomacy. Now, we have to also understand, no interest, mutual interest here and there. So you see, there are so many things economically that is not done to us. In the practice, what is documented in books is not exactly what we see in practice. However, now that IMF is now coming to say this, let us, repatriate. Again, to repatriate funds back to Nigeria, they have to also negotiate with all the governments involved. For instance, assuming a particular amount of dollars has been stashed away in an account, in Switzerland. Now, IMF can't just go and tell Switzerland, yeah, return back the money. There is going to be a lot of documentations, a lot of negotiations, a lot of politicking to ensure that, okay, the Swiss government will subscribe, to the idea of repatriation, and eventually they repatriate, you understand? So, again, when we look at all these bottlenecks here and there, again, one might say, well, it might take some time, or maybe they have started doing that before now, and then now we have started to see the dividends of all those, hidden negotiations, to repatriate all these funds, back to where it has been stolen.
She made a donation of $7,500, which is about 1.5 million naira, to an orphanage in Abuja. Is this a way to just pour cold water on the floor, and then I'll come back and tell you my terms?
Well, whichever way you look at it, we Nigerians, we have a way of reading ahead, of every action. Well, we can't blame Nigerians also because of what happened in 1986, because of the SAP era. So, we have the tendency to want to say, oh, this woman again. But again, the money she donated, I want to ask this, is she her money? It's not her money.
She said it's on behalf of the IMF.
On behalf of the IMF. Nigeria also contributes to IMF. So it's also Nigeria that also donated.
Okay, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. Okpayami from UI, good morning. Okay. Amen.
Amen. Wow. Okay. We'll tap into that. Doctor, you say amen.
Amen. Yes, I said amen. I said it.
Okay,
Right
so it's when you pour cold water on the floor, you'll be able to march on soft ground. There's another call again. Let's pick that.
All right, let's find out.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir. Okay, Samuel, good morning. Okay. Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Samuel. I'm not a labor person. My discipline is statistics, and the motto of my discipline is facts from reliable figures. So I use facts, to communicate. So I won't be able to talk much about whether NLC will see reason or will not see reason. But I want to believe that, if the government is sincere in whatever they want to do, there is nothing wrong, in dialoguing with labor, and let labor see why this thing must go. And just like somebody rightly said some days ago that, okay, fine, if subsidy must go, then the refineries must start to work optimally. And also, I'm also saying that this morning that, okay, if this subsidy will go and go eventually, our refineries must start to work and work optimally. So I won't be able to comment too much whether, Labour, but I want to believe that the government should negotiate and discuss extensively, with Labour, and not only do the normal discussion, they should also do the discussion with facts and figures so that Labour, can be convinced that truly the government meant well for Nigerians.
Okay, Dr. Showale, let me ask you this last question from me before we pick that call. Professor Patutomi is an economist, and he said that we shouldn't take the visit of the IMF's boss lightly. So, what do you think about that? Is it that we shouldn't take it lightly, or should we just, okay, we've heard, and then still work on our own terms?
Well, I will look at it this way. The IMF boss, is a big person globally.
Okay.
So wherever she goes, definitely, her visit can never be taken lightly.
Okay.
But my own take on that is she has come, she has given us some submissions. So why can't we now sit down, appraise the submissions, and see where best, we can now incorporate, those submissions in making life better, for all and sundry.
Okay.
Someone said her coming to Nigeria was fruitless. A human rights activist, Ebunolu Adegorowa, said Christine Lagarde's visit was fruitless. It was just to hammer on the rich and much cherished culture of French liberty and freedom. And this did not happen at all, as IMF was concentrated purely on the economic advantage of her visit. Do you buy to that?
Well, I don't want to go into too much details as to what that our woman rights activist actually said. I want us to appreciate the fact that the way we look at things, definitely will be different. And the beauty of this world is that, okay, I have my opinion. Your opinion is different from mine. Can we have, a concurrence of opinions so that we can move forward? It's just like in a family setup. We have the A's, we have the B's, we have the C's. So the beauty of a good father and mother is to be able to harness all opinions together and then appraise and then move forward. So I think she's entitled to her opinion, really.
Okay, you've been listening to Nigeria's first business radio, IBR 92.5 FM, and we've been talking about the visit of the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Mrs. Christine Lagarde. She came to Nigeria last week, made her recommendations and submissions to us. As a nation, she also advised us as a nation. And in the studio, we've been able to we've talked about some of those things that she mentioned with Dr. Showale Oyedeji, a senior lecturer of the Department of Statistics, Faculty of Sciences, University of Ibadan. Thanks for joining us on Rise and Shine today. Dr. Showale, thanks for coming. We'd like you to give a final word, just say something to Nigerians.
Yeah, I wish Nigeria the very best. Nigerians should understand the fact that God is on our side. Despite all this stealing, Nigeria is still standing. So God is on our side, and God will see us through.
And Nigerians, we have a way of bouncing back. We have that resilient spirit.
Yeah,
and then
like,
we just,
like I said.
yes, and we just bounce back. Okay, many thanks to all our listeners for, tuning to IBR 92.5 FM, Nigeria's first business radio, where all that we do, they are all in your business interest. And here we say we mean business. I am Okwemi Ojabanjo. I've been your host on Rise and Shine this morning from 5 a.m. till now. It's been the Lord's doing, not by my power, not by my might, but by His own strength. And I'm here in the studio with
Olatunde Idowu is my name. A very big thank you to you all out there for being there, and to the transmission team for this morning, John Uzo,
Eniola,
Dayo, Balogun, everybody. Thank you, and God bless. We'll return again tomorrow for another scintillating edition of Rise and Shine. Till then.
Okay, and before we go, like I say, I love Nigeria. Nigeria is my beloved country, and I know that we will get there. So enjoy this song from Fumi Adams, Nigeria, my beloved country.